Hey guys, David here, and welcome to Digital Outlook. Guys, I'll tell you what, an absolutely gorgeous and amazing day it is out here. Just look at how beautiful it is out there, guys. Wherever you are in the wide world, I'm hoping that you are getting out there and just enjoying all the beauty that God has absolutely made. Now, guys, something that I want to talk about today in this space is literally borders on the ridiculous. I'll tell you what. So, of course, we have this new lawsuit brought out by the state of Oregon against Coinbase. And in it, of course, they're saying, hey, XRP is an unregistered security. Now, guys, this is utter nonsense. Why? How long did Oregon have that they could have gone out and filed this application at any time in the last 4.5+ years that, of course, this whole SEC lawsuit was being filed against Ripple and on and on. And then, of course, they had opportunity to join up with the lawsuit when the SEC was going after Coinbase. Well, now what we're seeing is hey, they've dropped, SEC drops on Coinbase. They're getting right ready. I believe Paul Atkins is going to make a decision really, really soon. This whole case against Ripple, totally done. You're watching that these assets being traded around like, XRP being designated as not being a security in federal court. So here you got Oregon filing this lawsuit. Now, guys, what do you think is going to eventually happen? Let's say the whole thing goes through. And let's say the state gets a judgment against Coinbase. Well, my guess is that's going to get appealed. And more than likely, the appeals will go all the way to Supreme Court if the whole thing even gets there. Now, at the Supreme Court, what do you think they're going to decide? Come on, guys, they're going to side with what the federal legislation is and how these things are now to be deemed not to be securities, and everything's dropped against Coinbase. Guys, to me, this political theater 101, because, of course, Oregon's out there as blue as they get, right? And, of course, it's a big slap in the face to this administration that wants to be the crypto capital of the wide world. And of course, they're who they're putting into play. And that's what I think is really going on. And you got to look past the absolute nonsense. And by the way, isn't the timing really peculiar? Right at the very point where you're watching regulatory clarity getting to come in with the, the stablecoin legislation that's being before Congress. And of course, the FIT 21 Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act going in. Guys, I don't think it's going to go absolutely anywhere, and I don't think it's anything for us to worry about. But of course, everyone's coming out, oh, Ripple is involved with another lawsuit, and XRP is in the hit list, and all this kind of stuff. And this is the kind of noise and the distraction that these guys want us focusing on, isn't it? Let's look what's going on over here. While over here, they're laying the literal groundwork for it all around the wide world. We're watching legislation on stable coins, this digital asset space, the micro regulations over there in Europe, what's going on in Dubai. And by the way, boy, have they ever paved the way for XRP in Dubai. You can use it for practically anything. You can get paid in XRP as an employer. You can pay your employees in XRP. You can pay your bills with XRP, and on and on and on. And there are other parts around the wide world that are literally, the regulatory clarity is just as clear could be. And they're putting the efforts behind it to literally back this space and truly send it. And of course, we're watching now this big change at the helm. But, it just never ceases to amaze me that, it seems like all of these legislatures, they can't get together. They can't decide on the color of, what kind of thing. And as far as I'm concerned, this whole case has a snowball's chance and where of actually, getting any real, traction or causing any disruption to this space. I really don't believe it. And I think the state is kind of just stepping over its bounds. And you probably have, an attorney general out there that just decided, oh, well, or who knows what. But to me, it is just that, political theater. Guys, don't let yourself get all bent out of shape when you get this kind of news coming down, because we've seen it before. Look, just before we were going in there, settling this case in the SEC, and Ripple agreed to pause the whole deal. Some guy pops up and says, oh, hey, I got to get my information before Judge Annalisa Torres to show how Ripple for sure, in defense of Ripple, mind you, that XRP is not a security. And do we really need that? Well, no, but I oftentimes wonder what game is afoot that this guy comes out of the woodwork just to file these things, causing a little bit more of a delay, right? Because, of course, the SEC has to address that, the court has to review it. Oh, that gives them another 30, another 60 days, and on and on and on. And that's what it is. To me, it's nothing more than delays. And, of course, this is just theater. It's a dog and pony show. It is literally just tactics. I think it's a big nothing burger. And my guess is the market doesn't even care. And boy, sure enough, what's happened? On the day that this news is coming out that this is what happened, XRP is taking off. Literally today we got, what, 225? And look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin back up over $90,000, guys. You're watching this space really demonstrate its strength in the face, of a crashing dollar and a weak economy. Now, guys, I want you to focus on that right there. A lot of people, seem to equate the markets with the economy, but it's not. There is a massive, massive, massive disconnect between the market, all these markets, and what's going on economically in the wide world. We all know that. Look, we're seeing insolvencies at a record pace, watching people that can't even catch up and pay their credit cards. Credit card debt just really firing off. All this other stuff going on and things like that. And the disconnect in the market, of course, is, look, there got all these tariffs. We saw all this fear and all that. And we watched these markets literally tumble. Then bang, just like that. Almost complete reversal because, we're going to put it on pause for 90 days and on and on. You cannot let yourself get shaken out by all of these all these moving parts, guys, and the way in which they play this game. Because I'm telling you, I've watched it happen, been in a space for about 5 years, and I love to tell people, I've seen every kind of up, down, sideways action you can possibly imagine. And to me, it's just games, guys. They're playing games with us. These big-time players, I'll tell you what, you need to understand the psychology of this market. You really, really do. Because if you don't, they will eat you alive. If you don't have any personal conviction about what you're investing in or what you're holding or any expectation about where it's going and why it's going to go there, and apologetic, by the way, for your investing, what you believe, but more so why you believe it, you will get absolutely wrecked. They will wreck you because your emotions will be so tied to it. And one of the things that we do in coaching is to get people as sharp as a razor blade in terms of getting strategic and being prepared and literally employing techniques that I'm going to tell you right now really helped us and have helped so many others get ready for how to navigate this space and to truly benefit from it, not be victimized by it. But of course, all these big players out there, they don't care. I mean, they want to shake your tree as much as they can. And what happens when that happens, guys? When you and I, as retail, let's say we all capitulate into the fear that they're throwing out there. What goes on at that point? Well, hey, these whales are out there gobbling up that fear, aren't they? They're eating your risk. Think about it. For every person that is selling into fear, someone else is buying it up. And why would they be buying it up? I mean, come on, have you ever thought of that? Hey, if it's going down, oh my goodness, I better sell. It's going to crash, crash, crash. Someone else is buy. Think about it. They're not, out there just having a panic attack and all this kind of stuff. They're out there buying up your fear and absolutely benefiting from it. Those folks that capitulated when XRP dropped to $1.64, guys, we're 225. Do you realize that was only 2.5 weeks ago? And here we are at, 225 today? That right there should tell you everything you need to know, guys, about not allowing yourself to get played by these guys, played in this space. And look down the road of what's going on and how they play the game. And that's why I say this whole lawsuit with Oregon, truly, you can almost see the playbook. It's utter nonsense. It's almost laughable, really, when you think about it, because were they on the bandwagon when the SEC was going after Coinbase? No, guys, they weren't. Were they on the bandwagon saying XRP was a security when for 4.5+ years we went through that lawsuit? Nope, they weren't doing that either. Why are they doing it now? Well, come on. We know why they're doing it now. They're just not going to come out and say it. But you can literally see it. It's like a kid that, who gets all ticked off because, he's not really good at playing the game and he's losing the game. So what does he do? He takes his ball and bat and goes crying home and that kind of stuff. And that's what I think about this Oregon case. Big blue state, and they cannot stand that they didn't get what they wanted in this last election with the administration that they wanted, and they're seeing a turnaround and stuff like that. So we're going to get people on board. Wouldn't surprise me. You watch any other of these ones go, they are just pushing back with all that they can to try and just, really suppress things. But guys, look, do you think that, Brian, oh my gosh, my brain just froze for a second there. He's the CEO of Coinbase. I think it's Armstrong. I don't think he's worried one iota about it. I don't think he's worried one itsy bit, because we all know, guys, this thing is already done. It's been settled. We're going to get that regulatory clarity piece. We're going to see the stablecoin legislation. Hey, we're going to see the passage of FIT 21. And that's going to be a major deal, and it's going to just literally kibosh this entire effort that they got out there. But it's like a kid, like I say, having their little temper tantrum and, kicking up a lot of sand. So I wanted to come out there and address it because I thought, look, there's going to be a lot of fuzzers out there who say, oh, look at State of Oregon, another lawsuit against Ripple and XRP being the target, and of course this kind of stuff, which is not a lawsuit against Ripple. XRP is just mentioned as an unregistered security. It's a lawsuit against Coinbase. That's what it is. And for selling unregistered securities. Well, come on. They know that isn't going to fly. It's not going to stick, guys. And so what if they've named XRP and that? It ain't going to make a hoot of difference, because we've got the clarity. We've got the clarity federally in a federal court where Judge Annalisa Torres decided that XRP in and of itself does not make a security. It did not pass the Howey test. And guys, I remember looking at that case way back, when it was first laid down. And, a lot of people were in total fear, but I was looking at that and I was like, well, look, if you took the Howey test, you took all the prongs of the Howey test, then XRP does not fit the bill. Now, contracts that involved XRP, for sure, they could, right? But XRP in and of itself, because if XRP in and of itself would have been a security, right, then the oranges in the orange groves of the Howey test would have had to be securities. And if that was the case, then every grocery store in America would have had to register with the SEC to sell the oranges. It was not. It was the contracts in respect to the orange groves that actually were the securities, and that formed the basis of the Howey case. Ergo, the Howey test. And, XRP passed the test. It is not a security. So, hey, I'm not bent out of shape of it, not one little bit. And I recognize it for what it is. Guys, you got to know what you hold. You got to be strategic. You have got to really get your thinking cap on and be genuinely strategic. And that's why we do what we do. That's why we spend the time and the effort and go out there and really help people get razor sharp, like I say, in their strategic, understanding of this space, so that they can absolutely crush it, guys. They can really do amazing. And that's my personal opinion. There's been a lot of stuff in this space that's been kicked around and all this kind of stuff, and we have been here for so long to see it that it doesn't even shake us anymore, guys. It doesn't even shake us. And I'll tell you what, I don't want it shaking you either. Get out there, really get to know the space, get to know what you hold, answer those questions for yourself, build up that reservoir of conviction. Only you can do it. The answers we find for ourselves are genuinely the ones we trust the most. I know I say that a lot, but it's because it's true, and I believe it, and my guess is a lot of you out there, you believe it too. So guys, I'll tell you what, until tomorrow when we have another amazing video for you, have a fabulous one and take care.